I often get people who come into the studio and they say, hey coach, I want to get faster. Please slam my stem. That'll help me get aero. Boom. And I'll keep up with everybody in my group. Okay. In this video, I want to not dispel that rumour, not stop you slamming your stem, but I want to give you some advice that I don't often see on the internet that may be the opposite to what you're thinking. Okay? You are unique. Absolutely unique. Even if you have similarities in age, height, belly, leg length, what favourite colour you share with someone, it doesn't matter. You are unique, and you'll have to understand that every bike fit has to take on board that uniqueness. So from your flexibility, and that doesn't mean, oh, I'm old, I'm not as flexible as someone who's young. I see plenty of young people who have got the flexibility of the Tin Man or Terminator rather than Stretch Armstrong. It is about where you are today and what strengths you have and how these align themselves with your goals and your riding style and the events that you're going to do. Riding a crit is not the same as going out for a leisurely 100-mile ride with a group of friends. So there are changes that you can make, but I want you not to follow particular trends that you think, oh well, it makes them faster, it'll make me faster. You ready to get into the video and show you? Okay. Let me get on the bike and we'll go through a couple of points that really do make a difference. Okay, that was quite a big intro. Let's get into the video. But you get the point, yeah? This is going to help. Now, before I dive on, actually, I want to share with you a couple of concepts I want you thinking about. Now, please, this video is soft touch. I'm going through things in a basic way, but I want to give you some real value. Okay, so, hey, if it does give you value, hit that subscribe button. Over 70% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. It does really help the channel and it allows YouTube to talk to the rest of the world. So, help me out. Okay, so, first thing I want you to do is think of your hands and your head. They form a triangle. We all know what a triangle is. And this triangle is going to create an area, a surface area that's going to hit the moving air that's traveling to us. And the fitter you get, the faster you go. The faster you go, the more effect this air will have on you. So don't give me all that bullshit. Oh, I'm not really interested in getting aero or going faster. Yes, you are, because every time you turn up on your bike, you're getting fitter, and fitness is fastness. Fastness, is that a word? Okay, so be thinking about that. The next thing I want you thinking about, not whether your bum looks big in your lycra, but everything that runs up the posterior chain, the back of your body, ligaments, tendons, muscles. Okay, now you might shout at me and say, oh, I haven't got much flexibility, coach. I don't give a shit. Okay, I don't care about your flexibility. Plenty of young people walk about like the Tin Man. If I only had a... No, that's the lion, isn't it? Anyway, you know what I mean. It's not necessarily flexibility. I'm getting back into that point that very few people talk about, the unique you. Okay, you are unique. So you've got to understand what sort of range of flexibility you've got. So, triangle, posterior chain, okay? Right. Okay, so now we're on the bike and we're thinking, yeah, we want to go lower. So if we want to go lower with the stem, what this normally does is it places people in a position where, yes, your hands are lower, but what I want you thinking about now is the triangle. What changes between the position of your hands and the height of your head? Great if you can get your head into a lower position. But 9 times out of 10, I see riders, they'll slam the stem, go lower, but the head stays the same. They cannot reduce the height of their head. And this is usually due to some flexible issues through posterior chain, or the bike is actually too long for them and it is causing an issue. Yes, certainly riding in the drops will decrease that reach, but let's measure that triangle, and here's how to do it. I would always get my helmet on. So, pop your helmet on. Visor or glasses, that's a preference that you can choose. We're indoors, you naughty, take them off, right? But get your helmet on now. This is something that a lot of cyclists struggle with. You need to have a friend, okay? You need someone to help you, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna ride and you're going to start in your first position with your hoods in their normal height, okay? And what you're going to do is you'll look into the mirror and you'll get your friend, yeah? Okay, it could be the guy from Amazon that's just delivered your special package. And what you're going to do in the mirror is you're going to draw a point for left hand, right hand, and head. And you're going to move around, but get into the position that you ride at normally. We create the triangle, do the equation that'll pop up on the screen for the area of a triangle, and there you've got your frontal area. Now, what you then do, move your stem down, do your and start to measure and play around with it. You might be surprised that you do not decrease, that you actually increase the size because your head position. Okay, now a couple of other things are happening there as well. Let me take off the helmet, pop it down there. Now, as we then go further down, something really important happens with your arms. When people slam and they go lower, they usually end up with straight arms. Now, these arms are like big columns. Now, guess what? I'm going to let you into a little secret. New bikes have internal cable options. Aero bikes have them as well. You ever wondered why that is? Ficking aerodynamics. You understand that? They're trying to make the bike more aerodynamic on the front end by hiding the cables. Mechanic's nightmare, but they'll hide the cables. Guess what your arms are? Now, I know mine are only a little bit thicker than a cable, but you might have big muscular arms. By keeping them straight, you create two huge pillars of resistance. So no matter how much you're trying to hide in that wind, sure, your bar width is a big factor, but that's another video. You know what my thoughts are on bar width. Narrow. Okay, but if you've got these straight arms because you've gone so low, because there is no way that you can bend your arm. Now you've got to think about what is the most aero position on a bike. Well, look for the fastest riders. Time trialists. Time trialists. They're in a position whereby the front end supports their arms. Their hips are sometimes 100+ millimeters further forward on a time trial bike because we are supporting our arms. Can you get into a position whereby you deflect air better by having a bent arm position? So I will ride in a position whereby my bike fits me. I'm 5'10", I've never ridden over 52. 53 I can ride with 100 stem, but most people say, oh, I'm a 56 and I'm the same height as you. Your bike's too big, it's too long. You've got to be snug on the front. So by having these bent arms and really loose, remember the Billy Joel fingers? I can deflect air. Now here's a thought for you. A lot of cyclists shave their legs, okay? Why? Well, that's because everybody else does. You can hide your legs with aero socks and you can tuck your legs in. Some people have got big muscular arms and they're hairier than a gorilla. Now, I'm not saying shave your arms. That's just going too far. Come on, you've got a date. You maybe just started Tinder or something and you don't want to be going with shaved arms. But what I'm saying is think of your arms as something that needs to get more aero, okay? So, experiment with the area of the triangle. Okay, this next part is quite complex, and again, I don't see this a lot on the internet. It's to do with muscle contractions. So I want you thinking of these two fibers, the actin and the myosin, they slide over each other, and it's basically called sliding filament theory. Now, the contraction, okay, when it hooks and holds, this gives us this contractual strength. So, if you think about the sliding action, let's say most riders are going to have a knee angle, let's say for argument's sake, between 30 and 40 degrees. It does change. Some pros are under 30 and some are much higher. And it'll all depend on the width of your hip, the strength of your gluteal muscles, size of your calves, your flexibility, etc. Lots of factors. Let's not slow things down here. But what I want you thinking about is, if you go lower on the front, think about what I said at the start with the posterior chain. As we go lower, what happens is, no matter what the reach is, we stretch the posterior chain. So think about the contraction contact space that the muscle has. By changing the angles, we potentially have less contractual surface area. Think about that, okay? If it's like Velcro, we produce a weaker contraction or something that's not going to be allowed to give us more power. So I see this a lot in riders. They get sometimes, I call it a dysfunctional muscle contraction through the quadricep, through the gastrocnemius, even through the glute. They'll suffer from things like cramp or fatigue in one particular muscle, and they'll say, hey coach, I didn't used to get this on my gravel bike. I'm only getting it now on this new aero bike. It's a front end decrease that's stretching posterior chain, and it's changing the angles and it's changing that muscle contractual functionality. It sounds complex. I'm trying to make it simple, but if you think about it in your head as having large surface area for Velcro, harder to pull apart, less surface area for the Velcro, easier to pull apart. I see lots of riders jump onto a TT bike and tell me, hey coach, I can't actually produce as much power on my TT bike as I can on my road bike. Guess what they're suffering from? Yeah, it's too low on the front end, but they've mainly got their saddle in the wrong position. So here's my tip for you. Try to go higher, measure the spatial area on a mirror, then work on your saddle position. So I would often get a rider to get the correct height for the saddle, the correct forward position, and then decide whether you need a long nose or a short nose saddle. The short nose saddle will allow you to roll off the front better in that aggressive forward position. But think about the aerodynamics. If you've got these straight arms, you've got more exposure to your chest. And it's this that's going to block and jam the wind and slow you down. So the fitter you get, you're not necessarily going that much faster because you're hitting that critical point where wind resistance is having a much bigger effect. You are like a dog with his head out of a window. Okay? So my overall take on it is over 90% of riders should be increasing the stack height. They should be trying to get their hands and their head closer together. This will allow posterior chain to be in a much more positive position to produce power, and it will also increase comfort. So bent arms, more aero, closer to head, straight arms, like two bloody big pillars that are catching more wind than a windmill. Okay? Hey folks, I hope that's helped. If it's added value, give it a thumbs up. You want to know more about this type of content? Hey, come and join me on Patreon. Or join me on the live stream every Monday night. Maybe get your question answered. You shape the future where the channel's going. And we are growing, so get in on the party now. Hey folks, it's been fun. I hope that's helped. Don't slam your stem. Put it up, and you might even go faster. Speak to you soon, and remember, anyone can train hard. There's only a few of us can train smart. Okay. It's hot in here. Whew. For a Scotsman, anything above 60 degrees is hot. I think it's about 63 degrees in here. Oh, super hot.